Hey guys, in this session we'll write a simple program to identify whether a loop exists in a linked list or not. Let's understand what is a loop in linked list and we'll take this linked list as a reference. If you notice, there is a linked list starting with head and ending with leaf node. The leaf node next reference will be null. This is in a normal linked list scenario, but let's take this one. So here it is starting with head node 12, 4, 6, 5, and again 5 is pointing back to one of its previous node. That means it is getting into circle or loop. This is what we need to identify, whether given linked list has a loop or not. So how can we identify? There are various ways. We'll see first hashing. So in hashing, what we do, we will keep track of all the hashes, node hashes, and every node we traverse, we will look back whether the current node hash is matching with previous nodes. If we find a match, then we can say that the loop exists. If null encountered, that means we reached end of the linked list. No loop exists. One of the issue with this is more memory. We need to keep track of hashes, so we need to allocate memory for that. There is another approach. In second approach, we will keep two pointers. Now the pointer 1 will increment one step and the pointer 2 will increment two steps. Now every time we check pointer 1 matches to pointer 2. In case if we find pointer 1 matches to pointer 2, there is a loop exists. In case it reaches end of the array, end of the linked list, then there is no loop exist. Let's write code for both approaches and see the result. Create a class, linked list loop. We'll have an inner class called node int data and node next. A simple constructor which will be pointed to data. Now let's write a method. Static boolean, in case loop exists, will return true, if not false. Identify loop. This will take root node, head. So our first approach is we need to keep track of hashes. Let's take a hash set and store all the hashes. Set node so now let's traverse while the exit condition is head not equal to null. So now let's check hashes. If hashes dot contains head, then it has a loop, return true. If not, add it to hashes. So once out of this, I mean, if it exists, if head reaches to null, that means there is no loop exists. So return boolean.false. Let's say this method will call version 1. Now let's write a simple main method. Create a linked list. Let me copy and create multiple nodes and change the references. Change the values too. Now make the pointers, connect nodes. n1.next equal to n2, n2.next equal to n3, n3.next equal to n4, n4.next equal to n5. If you notice, there is no loop exists right now. Let's see what result it will return. Does loop exists? Call the method and pass the head node here n1. So we expect false here because there is no mapping back. There is no loop exist. There is some mistake I might made somewhere, which is loop exist. n1.next equal to n2, n2, n3, n3 is pointing to n4, n4 pointing to n5. Loop 1 hashes head not equal to null hashes dot contains. Okay, I missed one thing. I missed to increment head equal to head dot next. My bad. Let's run. Now it says false. Loop does not exist. Now let's create a loop. n5 dot next is pointing to n3. Let's run this. It says loop exists. So now let's write another approach. So in another approach, we will take two pointers. One pointer will increment one step, second pointer will increment two steps and compare each other. In case if they matches at any iterations, the loop exists. If they don't match at any iteration, the loop does not exist. Static boolean identify loop will say v2 and it takes head node. We need to declare two nodes, two pointers. So slow moving node pointing to head, fast moving node again pointing to head. Now let's iterate. While, what is the exit condition here? If slow moving not equal to null and fast moving not equal to null, since we are going to have two-step increment on fast moving node, we need to check fast mv fast mv dot next also not null. So now if slow mv double equal to fast mv, that means loop exists, return false, sorry, true, else we need to increment, slow moving equal to slow moving dot next, fast moving equal to fast moving dot next dot next. So if it is out of this loop means it reached end of the linked list, that means there is no loop exists, return false. So now let's run this, change the method reference to v2 and comment this loop option and see the result. Again, I made a mistake somewhere, my bad. I got the issue, it's my bad. I need to move these pointers in the beginning. The reason is initially when the loop started both are pointing to head, so by default it shows, by default the if condition will be succeeded. Let's run now. It says false. Now let's re-enable, let's create the loop and run it once again. Now it should say true. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.